Okay, hello everybody. We're going to take a look at thesis statements. So this sentence, the thesis statement says, this is what the essay will do. Okay, so you're telling the reader, this is what the essay is going to tell you about. It also says, this is my point of view. This is what I think. When you give your point of view, the essay must stick to it. So the essay must show why your point of view is right. The better you do that, the higher your mark. So when you write your thesis, make sure you know in your mind what reasons you will explain for your point of view. You usually need 2 reasons. So you're writing a thesis statement, you say, I think that all education should be free. You need to know why before you start writing. Okay, so there's another video on generating ideas, and that's the point of where it happens, right? So before you write that thesis statement, make sure you know what arguments you're going to use to show that your point of view is quote-unquote correct, okay? So also, there's 2 kinds of thesis statements we can write. And one is a basic one and one is an advanced one. So the basic one just says, sorry, let me go into the, So the basic one gives your point of view. This essay will argue that governments should raise the drinking age. Okay, so we know your point of view and you're going to make this argument, but we don't know why you think this is true. So this is a basic thesis. If you're going to say why, we use because. So same thesis, because young people are not ready to handle drinking responsibly and alcohol is poisonous to the body. So those are going to be our 2 paragraphs. So this foreshadows what's happening in the essay. So here it's very basic and the examiner goes, okay. And here the examiner goes, okay, I see why you think that. Now let's go and see your reasons for thinking that in your paragraphs, okay? So if in your thesis you're giving these reasons, it's pushing your agenda forward. It's pushing your full response. It's the first part of a full response, extend, and support, right? So if you need to explain this in your paragraph, then you're using space in the paragraph which could be used to fully extend and fully support to get a higher mark, right? As we saw in the banding. So this is why I go back to the topic sentence. If your topic sentence is really long and just paraphrases the question, then you're not going to have space in your introduction to do this, which means this gets pushed down into the paragraphs, which means you've got less space to fully support and extend. Okay, so remember, everything is off the band descriptors. So this is okay if you do this. This is much better. Give the reasons, and I'll show you some more examples. Right. So education is not a luxury, but a basic human right, and as such should be free for everyone, irrespective of personal wealth. It's a question. Here's a possible answer. This essay will argue that education should be universally available because everyone has need of education and it helps societies thrive. Thrive means grow. So we have 2 reasons. Here's and in the middle. Reason 1, everyone has a need of education. Reason 2, helps society thrive. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2. Okay. What does this do for you? If you've done this in the planning stage before you write, and there's a video on that as well, if you do this in the planning stage before you write, you already know what the whole essay is going to be about. The whole structure is there. Intro, everyone needs education, explain, support. Paragraph 2, everyone, it helps societies thrive, explain it, support it, conclusion. Done. The whole essay is done because you've thought about what the reasons are. And when you're writing this paragraph, to make sure you don't go off on another topic and you're really focusing on this point, you just need to look in your thesis because it says, you wrote it down there. It's like a guideline for yourself. Okay? This essay will argue that education should not be universally available because it is unnecessary for low-wage jobs and it's a strain on public finances. Same structure, right? Because reason, and reason. There's your essay right there. It's the overview of the essay. Okay, so thinking about what you want to say before you write this thesis, what you want to do in your paragraphs is really useful. Okay, so again, I say a little bit slower. You have your topic sentence, which is a simple one sentence. You think about what your point of view is, and really your point of view about the question should be something you can find two good reasons for. And those two good reasons, you know you can explain them. You know you have full support, fully extended, you can explain it. You know you can support it with examples. That's the one you choose, okay? And then once you know that, you can do it on paper, write little notes on your exam paper. And when you have two of those, you're golden. That's it. All you have to do from there on your essay is explain them clearly, okay? So the question of paraphrasing. A lot of websites and websites and teachers tell you to paraphrase. Examiners cannot mark you down for not paraphrasing. The reason teachers tell you to paraphrase is only one reason, and it's this. It says use a range of grammatical structures, okay? And paraphrasing is a skill that you're going to do, and paraphrasing is something that you're going to do in the thesis and you're going to do in the essay, but you don't need to do a separate sentence just basically repeating what the question said, right? Paraphrasing is just flipping the question into other words, you're rephrasing it. So you can do that partly in the thesis statement. And if we look back here, education is not a luxury but a basic human right. Let's look at this example. And as such, should be free for everyone, irrespective of personal wealth. Free for everyone, universally available. I'm using a better phrase than the question. And I'm paraphrasing in my thesis statement. Okay? And I'm giving the reasons. Right? I think maybe if I go back and look at this again, it says it's not a luxury but a basic human right. Okay, and as such, should be free for everyone. Okay, so the question is asking should be free for everyone. You don't have to respond to basic human right and not a luxury. That is the core of the question. Should be free for everyone. This is a reason, this is a reason, this is a reason, or a situation. But they're saying, should it be free for everyone or not? Yes, it should. This thesis, no, it shouldn't, this thesis. But I'm paraphrasing here. Okay? Everyone has a need of education. It's kind of like saying a basic human right. But I'm putting it in my own words, and I have my own idea and my own response, and it's a response to this question. If you try just to paraphrase what this says, like many people feel that education is not extra, but everybody should have it, and it should be available to everybody. It's like it's an awkward sentence that you're not getting marks for. You look at the band descriptors, you're not getting marks for doing that. It's hard to do that. And you try and do that in your introduction, it just makes you bog down and feel heavy. We want you to feel light and clear, okay? And you'll see that in the topic sentence video. So, right, let's take a look at the example. I see a lot of essays which paraphrase the question. What's wrong with it? Okay, you can paraphrase in the thesis, and you can paraphrase is like your response. You're responding to the thesis. You're saying this essay will argue that should or shouldn't. And then after should or shouldn't, you can put the paraphrase of the thesis. Okay. So, for example, this essay will, if the question says, schools should increase the number of hours of exercise students do, you should say, this essay will argue that schools should, or shouldn't, should increase or raise, so we're paraphrasing now, just the key core point, raise the amount of time, let's say, students engage in physical activity. Okay, so I've paraphrased the core of that question, not the whole thing. It's not even necessary, like, you don't need to repeat the whole thing. It's just, you want to show you understand the core, because the task response, especially, is linked to, inextricably linked to that key point, right? If you miss this, you're done. 25% of your mark lost because you didn't understand the question. You cannot get a 7 plus if you don't understand the question, because it means you don't understand the English. And when you read this, your job is to understand what is the core, what is the point of this statement or question. Okay? So taking time at the beginning of the essay and before you write your thesis to say, do I understand exactly what that is? And can I say should and paraphrase it? That is task response. That's 25% of your mark, just understanding what is the core, responding to it. Okay, I'm giving your point of view on that, and I've paraphrased it. Paraphrasing's there. Examiner knows I can paraphrase. Okay, 25% of your mark. You spend months and months studying vocabulary and grammar, which are 25% of your mark each. Very important. But you spend all that time studying, and then you go into the exam and you get this wrong. 25% of your mark gone. And the examiner doesn't go, well, but you had great grammar, so let's give you a 9. No, the examiner goes, you don't understand the question. It's crucial for you to understand the question. And it goes in your thesis. And then while you see, the thing is, while you're thinking about the question and you're thinking about what is the core and you're circling the key words and really understanding what this means, and then you're giving these 2 reasons for this, for your point of view, right? Should be universally available. You're organizing your entire essay. Not only organizing your entire essay, but you're doing coherence and cohesion, you're doing task response. So, because when I write this, everyone has a need of education, I'm thinking, actually before I write it on the paper, I'm thinking, okay, everyone needs education. Why do they need education? Because any job requires education. Even being a cleaner requires you to be able to read a schedule. That's my example. That's my well-supported. Fully extended means I'm explaining why everybody needs education. Education is the core of communication, which is the core of being able to cooperate in teams, even if it's a cleaning team. So I'm using that time and that organization time, and that time you can't rush and panic in the beginning of that essay. You know, if you get this part right and you're like, you take 5 minutes, it's 40 minutes you have. You take 5 minutes and you go, I know 100% I'm answering the question and I know my reasons, and I can think, these are my explanations. The essay's done. All you got to do from there is have clear grammar, clear sentences, good vocabulary, and you're done. Easy. You get a 7 easy on that. Okay, so you know, if you're spending time on your introduction thinking about paraphrasing, and this is hard to paraphrase, even for me, it's hard work. It's a complicated sentence, you know, irrespective of personal wealth. Okay, I got to put that idea in there as well, and I got to say free for everyone, and I got to say these 2 things. That's a hard thing for a native speaker even to paraphrase that, and you're not getting any marks for it. And if you do it, and you do it right, and you do get some marks for it, you're spending a lot of time and energy, and you haven't yet thought of how you're going to organize your essay. All you've done is copied this. And you haven't thought about this, and you haven't thought about extending and supporting these 2 ideas. You've wasted loads of time in your introduction and a lot of brain power. Okay? So that's why I always teach my students, and they always pass and they always get their marks, to think the question through. Don't paraphrase in the introduction, other than, you know, this bit. Be very clear on your ideas, okay? So you can paraphrase in the essay. Paraphrase things in the essay. So let's say we take irrespective of personal wealth. When I'm explaining this, I just need to say, everyone should have an education no matter how much money they have. I paraphrased this part, but I put it into my concept in my essay, in my clear explanation. I didn't try and paraphrase the whole question, which is not awkwardly written, but it's a complicated sentence with 4 ideas in there. Okay? So, paraphrasing can be done in the paragraphs. So paraphrasing the question is not necessary. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Okay. All right. Any questions about that? Send me a email. Practice doing this is the other thing I would say to you. This concept I'm saying of reading the question, understanding. So the next question for you is, because I go on these sites on Facebook, these IELTS groups, and it's full of people saying, I got 6, I got 6.5, how do I get a 7? This is why. Okay. So how do you, from what I've told you, how do you then know that you can answer this question clearly, fully addresses the question? How do you know? Practice one every day. One every day, at least. Just don't do the whole essay. Just do this, right? Just these are 2 different theses. Don't be confused. This is should and shouldn't, right? And don't do a contraction there, by the way. It should be just should not. So do your thesis, do the question, do your thesis. When you're not sure, or even if you're sure, put all of your answers together. Sign up for a half an hour one-to-one lesson, and I'll look at them for you, and I'll tell you 70% of these are great, good, you learned. The other 30% are wrong because ABC, and then you can see what you're doing wrong. So if you spend X number of pounds or dollars on that half an hour lesson to check and make sure you've learned everything clearly, you're saving yourself because you're going to get your mark. You're saving yourself because you're going to, you don't have to go back and do the exam again. Take the bus and go and register and sit there and put all that effort into writing another essay and then going, oh, I hope I got it right. No. I can tell you if you're right or not. I can tell you if you're answering these questions properly. Do it before you go. Do the one essay, get it done right, and then off you go. And then you can be confident of getting your mark. Okay? So again, any questions, send me an email, and good luck.